Welcome to Style Lessons, supplementing 11 key lessons in style, the basics of clarity and grace. My name is Dr. Burkett. Today I will discuss and illustrate how to make important actions verbs. The top two principles of style are, drum roll please, first, make main characters grammatical subjects, the topic of Style Lesson 3. Second, make important actions verbs, the topic of this lesson. I emphasize these key principles by making them a learning outcome that you should apply to all of your writing in our composition class. Write in a clear style, making main character subjects and making important actions verbs. A wise writer named King Solomon once wrote in the book of Ecclesiastes, "I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all." Well, the English Bible is the greatest classic of English literature due to its style, language, and subject matter. Some great American literary critics have written, "The ultimate standard of English prose style is set by the King James Version of the Bible." And again, one can say that if any writing departs very far from the characteristics of the English Bible, it is not good English writing. So the more we steep ourselves in the Bible and its cadences and prose and poetry, the more we'll get a sense for style. And yet, the well-known English novelist George Orwell translates Solomon's fine sentence into modern professional fuzz. Objective consideration of contemporary phenomena compels the conclusion that success or failure in competitive activities exhibits no tendency to be commensurate with innate capacity, but that a considerable element of the unpredictable must inevitably be taken into account. Huh? Well, what's the problem with this sentence? It has correct grammar, but very poor style, so that it's nearly incomprehensible. If one reads it 6 times and analyzes it, then maybe it begins to open its sense. But then the reader is doing the writer's work of creating clear meaning. For clarity and meaning are not just given, but a creation, a product of thoughtful writing. If Orwell's sentence stood on its own, if you did not read Solomon's stylish sentence first, then you would find Orwell's sentence is not doing the reader any service, unless perhaps one is practiced at decoding professional fuzz. Well, here's the problem. Readers see no characters acting through strong verbs. The sentence violates the top two principles of style. The sentence is incomprehensible on a first and second reading because, again, there's no characters and important actions are locked up in nominalizations, which we'll define in a moment. Ugh. Can you point out the nominalizations? Well, as a reminder from the style lesson, a nominalization is an abstract noun, usually clunky, created from a verb or adjective. In every big nominalization is a skinny, strong verb trying to get out, and good writers let the verb out. They activate the verb locked inside a nominalization. So how many nominalizations are in George Orwell's academic sentence? I count 8. The noun consideration instead of the verb consider, conclusion instead of conclude, competitive instead of compete, activities instead of act, tendency instead of tend, commensurate instead of possibly proportion, capacity instead of can, unpredictable instead of cannot predict. Well, what's the point? Well, good writers like George Orwell riddle, spoof, and make fun of abstract normalizations, characterizing poor professional writing style. Nothing obscures good writing more than clunking abstract nouns called nominalizations. We need to recognize the problem, consider better ways to write, and revise such poor sentences. Well, what is a nominalization? Well, Joseph Williams defines this term. It's a noun derived from a verb or adjective and has a technical name, nominalization. Well, what's the problem with nominalizations? Well, as a principle, style is in the action, so good writers choose strong, colorful, active verbs, not weak, puny verbs and not verbs locked up in clunky nouns called nominalizations. Further, the word illustrates its meaning. When we nominalize the verb nominalize, we create the clunky noun nominalization. For instance, many call themselves Christians but don't trust and obey Jesus Christ. So we can say they are nominal Christians, that is, in name only. They view Christianity as a category, a noun, rather than a vital relationship of following and obeying and loving the Lord Jesus, starting with conversion. The Apostle John gets it right in meaning and style when he writes, "We love him because he first loved us." His sentence activates the verb. I said that inside every nominalization is a skinny verb trying to get out, and good writers let out the verb so that characters can act through the verbs. In style, pages 14 through 16, Williams outlines 5 common sentence patterns of nominalizations that are good to know. Since I see so much writing in my role as the director of the Writing Center, I have given these patterns picturesque nicknames. First is the top-heavy sentence, composed of a nominalization or long noun phrase followed by an empty verb. Second is the bottom-heavy sentence, composed of an empty verb followed by a nominalization in a noun phrase. Third is the frigid cause sentence, composed of one simple sentence with 2 nominalizations and an empty verb. Rather, when a writer needs to express causation or logical relationships of any kind, then he or she should use a complex sentence, as I have just done in my when this, then that type of sentence. Passive construct sentences, number 4, start with there is, there are, it is, such is, and so forth, followed by a nominalization. Passive constructions make sentences feel passive and empty. Writers should activate the verbs locked up in the nominalization. Fifth, strung out sentences feature several nominalizations strung together with prepositions. When you recognize these patterns, you should revise to help readers understand the sentences. Let's review how to revise sentences. How does one revise sentences that lock up action in nominalizations? Well, there's 3 steps. First, we diagnose. What are the problems making the sentence so hard to understand? Second, we analyze the problems and the best solutions. And third, to revise, we apply solutions and rewrite the sentence. Williams helps us recognize poor style so we can revise into clear, readable style. After this lesson, you should be able to diagnose clunky sentences, analyze the problems and solutions, and revise or select the best revision. Remember Orwell's professional fuzz? Well, here it is again. Objective consideration of contemporary phenomena and so forth. Well, let's now diagnose, analyze, and revise this difficult sentence. Well, first, what makes Orwell's sentence so hard to understand? Well, as we've said, it includes weak verbs, action is locked in nominalizations, and there's no characters. Well, second, let's analyze it. What are the best solutions? Well, we need to apply our principles of style, put in important actions in verbs, which means get rid of the nominalizations and unlock the verb that's trying to get out. Second, invent characters to perform the actions. And third, express simple cause in a when-then styled sentence. And third, we need to revise or rewrite the sentence. And so when we apply these principles, we would come to something like this, which is not nearly as nice as King Solomon's sentence, but this is nevertheless a readable sentence. When one objectively considers life events, then one must conclude that success or failure has no correlation to natural talent, but that chance is the supreme factor. Well, I think Solomon would add, coincidences happen when God's people pray, thus giving the supreme factor to God's gracious interventions, as the Bible teaches. What about this next sentence? Writing concisely has a tendency to improve understanding during the reading experience. Huh? Well, let's work to revise and improve this abstract sentence. First, diagnose. What makes this sentence so hard to understand? Well, the abstract sentence expresses its action in a small, nearly empty verb, has. The action is locked up in big abstract nouns in 4 nominalizations: writing, tendency, understanding, and reading experience. The sentence has no characters, so a reader cannot visualize someone doing something. The sentence commits common error pattern 3, frigid causation. A good writer generally expresses cause-effect relationships not in a simple sentence, but in a complex sentence in a pattern like when then or this because that. Well, second, let's analyze. What are the best solutions? Well, I should apply my principles of style. Put important actions in verbs, invent characters to perform these actions, and express cause in a complex when-then sentence. Now I can revise the sentence by rewriting. And here it is. When people write concisely, they help readers understand. Now that's better. Now I'm serving my readers well. My sentence is more concise, and readers can quickly apprehend its message. When you put important actions and verbs, you and your readers experience many happy benefits. Your sentences are more concrete, less abstract. Your sentences are more concise, less wordy. Your sentences express clearer logic, such as logic expressing causation, inference, implication, or application. Your sentences tell a more coherent story, for as we'll learn later, good sentence style follows good narrative storytelling, in which characters perform actions. See you at the next style lesson on the topic of characters. Blessings to you.